And hey, everyone, welcome back to the shop while YouTube does its thing and tries to connect. I don't know what the hell's going on. Uh, excuse me. Once again, really awesome lightning tonight. I was hoping to catch some of it while I was online with you guys, but apparently the storms don't time out with how I do stuff. So um, if we do get some flashes of light, you guys will know what's up. Didn't get much rain, at least not in this last band, but there's been a lot of rain the last few days and a lot of lightning, a lot of lightning. So tonight I want to do just a really quick one, and this one's going to be kind of rudimentary, especially for a lot of the hardcore guys and girls and everything else in between. You know, dogs and cats and kinkajous and stuff. So this one is about V belts and uh, the different sizes that they come in, their different functions, all of that, the different styles of V belts, and these are like super common. V belts have been used for 100 years, maybe even longer, and they're inexpensive and cheap to manufacture, and they're a great way to power something from something else. So, in our case, we have a crankshaft that provides most of the power, and it powers all the other accessories. So, like your alternator, your power steering, your air conditioner, all that stuff. The other option without V belts is to do a serpentine belt. And a serpentine belt is usually a single belt and it runs in a pattern, in a shape around all of these different components. And you still have the crank that powers everything, but it runs up and it runs around the AC, and then it comes back and runs over the power steering, then it comes back and runs over the alternator. And it has a tensioner that keeps tension on that. Versus a V belt, which is usually a single, you know, piece, it operates a single piece. So one V belt will run the alternator, another V belt will run the power steering, another V belt will run the AC. So there's pros and cons to both setups. Sometimes you don't need power steering, like in a race car or whatever. Slash off the V belt. There you go. It's a pretty easy thing to do. If you have a serpentine belt, you have to get a different serpentine belt and route it differently to not have power steering or to not have air conditioning or whatever. So there's pluses and minuses. Serpentine belts are more expensive. V belts are stupid cheap. So there's plus and minus on the way to do it. So what we have in the Limo is basically a small block Chevy, um, but it's pretty damn close to a big block, and it operates versus V belt versus it operates on V belts. So I want to show you some of the ways that it does this stuff and different ways to do it. Also, if you do have something with a V belt, I'll show you how to measure them. Just if you have a broken one, or if you're at a place in middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden your alternator belt goes. I'll show you how to measure it so you can go get another alternator belt. Most computers have this number. You tell them you have a 2004 Kia, and they'll tell you that'll be a serpentine belt, but whatever. They'll tell you what belt it is. So at least, if you're in the middle of nowhere and somebody doesn't know, I'll show you how to measure. So give me a second here to finish off this rock star. Are people messaging me? There are people messaging me. Holy smokes. Okay. We're done with that one. So I'm going to get these, and I'll just bring them over as a quick example for you guys. Um, also, get just a regular tape measure. It's really all you need. So I know, and the lights are like looking up at the sky. Sorry. So these are regular V belts, and these are how they normally come from a shop. These are from O'Reilly's, and they're all pretty much the same. Gates makes the best ones, but they're all pretty much the same rubber. Um, I don't know what else to say about them quality wise. This is Master Pro, Mastercraft. All of them are pretty much the same. If you want the best, Gates. Gates is the best rubber company out there, and that's their stuff. So you notice on this guy, he has little ribs in there. Ribs are they serve multiple purposes. This allows you to get a very small diameter on the belt. So if you have a smaller pulley like an alternator, it lets it go around that, and then it has no problem going around the bigger pulley that's the crankshaft. So that's why we do V belts also, or the ribs. The ribs are also for cooling. They help keep the belt cool when it's running. You know, you're running 3,000, 4,000 RPMs. This little thing's cooking. So V belts are good for that. They're called V belts because of the shape. So you can kind of see how it's cut in there. And it's usually about 40 degrees. Some V belts are 38 degrees, but most are going to be 40 degrees. Easy way to measure them is, and these come with, where are my glasses? So I can read these numbers to you guys. So this is a 15445, right? So the 7445 is their part number. 15445. So the 45, the last two digits are going to be the inches in length. The 154 is going to be the width. And these are measured in, I believe it's 30 seconds of an inch. So that's how these are measured. So it's going to be 15.4 30 seconds of an inch. And that's how you measure these. Now my guy doesn't go down that far. He only goes to 16ths. So this is right at 3/8. So it's pretty darn close. That'll get you really close. Nice part about belts is they are kind of self-clearancing. So if you do get something that's a little wide, your pulleys will clearance it on the side. You do risk breaking them. So, you know, you kind of need to get the right width. If you can take the belt into the shop, they can measure it more accurately. And also, if you have it and you want to measure it, if your belt's broken, you can lay a tape measure on the ground and just lay this guy flat and measure it length, the whole length of it. If you don't have any markings or anything on there, you can put a Sharpie mark on there and just roll it. And if you roll it, that'll also give you the length. So you want to get the length as close as possible. Now, the reason I have a couple of different lengths here is because I didn't know the length I was going to need for the alternator belt. I knew that the power steering belt, this guy, no, where'd he go? Oh, he's over there. He's actually this guy, the 15430. You can see this guy's a 15430. And he is a little bit short. So I needed a little longer one. So I got the 15440. There is a 15435, which is a half inch bigger. This is a full inch longer. And then the 15445, that is an inch and a half longer than the 430. So they do go kind of, and they have the length and they also have the width on here. And most of them are done in inch. That's the easy way to remember it. You're going to try and want to get stuff in inch measurements, which sucks because metric is the world standard pretty much. So it sucks, but whatever. So this guy I've already figured out is a little too long, so he's going back. Thankfully, I have the receipt and he can get returned. So we're going to use the 15430 on the power steering and the 15440 on the alternator. And I'll show you how these guys go in. These are pretty straightforward. Also, you can put it in your notes. You guys remember I told you about the big white notebook? Oh, there are some mosquitoes out here tonight. Remember my big white notebook? You can put notes in here and Sharpie on the first page about belts, what belt it takes. That way, you're like, oh, well, I'll just look this up really quick. These guys do snap. They have a life and they have a lifespan, and they will absolutely snap. They are cheap. They're less than $10 each. So it's not a bad idea to keep a spare. Um, the good part is if you keep a long spare, you might have enough adjustment room to use it if the short one breaks. So just a thought. I'll bring you guys in. Let me grab a light. This gigantic 110-pound hood. I wish I was joking. This hood is a 3-person job to take off and put on. Let me grab a light here so you guys can see what the hell I'm doing. And I can bonk my head into it a bunch of times. I'll bring you guys over here. Hey, Liz. I will try and get you guys the best view possible, but I can only go so close, right? So here we have our alternator, and this is our adjustment for the alternator, the tensioner. And then way down here, we have our power steering. Now, the power steering, you manually, because of the bracket and how this is set up, this is manually adjusted. So I'm going to put a lever in there and tension it that way. And it's also, I'm going to do kind of a half tension. These mosquitoes, can you guys see that guy? They're huge down here. Huge. Huge, huge bugs. I'm actually going to turn on the fan to keep them away, hopefully. Hang on. Oh, here's some rain. All right. We'll take some rain action. I think that's why the mosquitoes are coming in. They're trying to get out of the rain. Hopefully the fan's not too annoying for you guys. So when you tension these guys up, this is our 15440. So it goes around the crank. And there's well, we have to do the power steering first because he's on the inside. So we go around the crank. And I have this weird thing where I put the numbers facing forward just so I can read them. That's just me and my OCD. So you guys don't have to. These are ambidextrous. They go either way. But please don't put them on upside down. Please, please. That hurts me if you do that. So go off the crank, come off the water pump, and then roll it onto the power steering pulley. That's how easy it is to put that belt on. If you've seen, there's videos out there of VW engines, which are all air cooled, but they have an alternator, and they show a video of a guy with a screwdriver, and the engine's running, and he just goes blink, and he pops the belt off. He sets the new one kind of on the crank and uses the screwdriver and blink, puts it back on the alternator while the thing's running. It's really great. It's extremely dangerous, and please don't ever do that, but it's great to watch. So we have our power steering one on. We're going to put our alternator one on. Again, down to the crank, up to the water pump pulley, and I'll slide this so the numbers are kind of all in the same area, and it looks pretty. And there we go. Now the only thing we have to do is tension them up. It's super basic. So let me see if I can get a slightly better view for you guys. So for tightening the alternator one, this is just a turnbuckle with 2 lock nuts. And right now I can turn this by hand. Sort of. And as you can see, the alternator's moving out that way, and this belt is getting tight on there. And now he's too tight. Look at that, man, these mosquitoes. All right, now it's too tight for me to turn by hand. So I'm going to grab a wrench really quick. And these are all different sizes. So when you get your tensioner, and there's different alternator tensioners, so you'll have to be on the lookout. Just yours might look a little bit different than this. This is a very simple setup. This is made by ICT Billet. Comes off the long water pump right here. There's a lock bolt here, and then the tensioner goes up here. It's a very clean setup. It looks really nice. The original GM bracket runs all the way around, and you tension it by pulling down this way. It's not really what we want. So we wanted a cleaner setup. By we, I mean I. So I have my tools out already. So is he a 9/16? Nope, he is bigger. And of course, since these aren't metric, these are all totally different sizes. Every single bolt, they're all totally different. So I'm going to tension this guy up. And the quick and easy way to do tension is if you can turn this by hand 180 degrees, it's tensioned. If you can only turn it 90 degrees, it's tensioned. So somewhere between 90 and 180 degrees, you're going to have really good tension. There are very specific tools that measure deflection. When you put a certain amount of pound pressure here, it'll tell you, you have 1 inch with 10 pounds. That's perfect. But the quick, easy, simple way, you get 90 out of it. I can't really get 180. That means I'm done. And I'm actually going to leave the lock nuts kind of loose because you guys ever heard a squeaking belt on a car? Squeak and squeak, squeak. And it's just outrageous at a stoplight or whatever. That's because the tension on the belt isn't correct. It's either too loose or too tight. So you can tell the person, hey, go get your belt tensioned. Or if it's a serpentine belt car, their tensioner needs to be replaced. But go tighten this stuff up. So what we're going to do is I'll start the car. When I go to pull it out, I'll either hear it nice and quiet or it'll squeak. That means I need to tighten or loosen this. Probably tighten. So now we're going to do the power steering pump. This guy is close where we want him. I'm going to do the power steering pump. And this one's far more crude. I'm actually going to get a rag so I don't cover my hands in crap. Because power steering is always a mess. So you can see the belt moving, and you can see the pulley down here getting tight. Now this guy, I'm going to pull back with my hand. All right. I'm going to stuff that rag down there. It's not a rag, it's a shop towel. And my tightening bolt is right here to tighten down the power steering pump. Now, right now, I barely have enough. I could actually probably just do this by hand. If I held this tight enough, I actually could. I'm holding onto the stem of the power steering pump, and then I'm using my thumb to reinforce here, and I'm just sort of pulling it back and tensioning it. And that actually, damn mosquitoes, that's giving me pretty much enough tension. The other way to do it, and like I said, this is very crude, but it works. Is to use a pry bar against the mounting bolt and tension it that way. And you can pull back on this, have some protection here. You don't want to dent stuff and scratch paint. So this you can move and just kind of keep tension on it, and then you can lock that bolt in place. So, but this can also, you can very easily over tension it. So I'm just going to barely put any pressure on there and tighten that guy up. I just need to make sure I have the correct wrench and socket. Get on there. So I'm just using like 2 fingers. and he's going to be locked in place. I can still turn him 90, about almost 120 degrees. Now, take this out, take this out. Our power steering is tensioned. I have my other lock bolt, which is, where the hell is he? He's all the way down there. He's actually underneath here, and I need to lock him up. So, oh my gosh, I forgot what a pain this was to get to. He, of course, is a different size. What the hell? No. He's either a, oh, because there it is. I knew I had the wrench here. So that other guy's a 5/8. This guy is a 9/16. Be nice to have my ratcheting wrenches, but we don't have far to go. This is the pivot bolt for the power steering pump and reservoir. So make sure he's tight as well. There we go. Double check this guy. Okay. We are good on power steering. And again, same thing. With power steering that we're doing on the, so I'm going to save my 5/8 and I'm going to save my 9/16. What the hell was 1/2 inch? Oh, this guy up here is 1/2 inch. Yeah. So this guy we loosened too, and then I'll have to get a 8mm in there to tighten him up. So that's it. Belts are replaced. It's not, sorry for the clanky clank. It's not a terrible adventure. It's pretty easy to do. Those are now 2 brand new belts. We know the numbers on them. And another thing you can do is right now, just take a picture of this and it tells you 15,430 is for power steering, 15,440 is for alternator. I could probably do a 15,435 for the alternator because I have a ton of room, adjustment room with that setup. So that's it. that's how complex it gets. I'll come back here for you guys. We can put our pry bar away. Don't need that right now. And clean off our hands and zoom you guys out a little bit so you can see what's happening here. So that's it. Replacing 2 belts, it takes 15-20 minutes. It's not very hard. The hardest part is finding the correct size and making sure you get the correct size. Usually when you break a belt, it'll be somewhere in the middle of the highway and you're not going to go back and look for the belt and try and get the size number off of it. You're just going to drive to the nearest parts store and get it from there. So that's the downside. Usually when these belts break, they don't just kind of stay in place. They'll launch themselves out onto the road. If you are fortunate enough to save it, it gets caught in an under tray or something, cool. Take that part in. They'll get you a new part right away. Most stores have a huge selection of V-belts. They come in a different, you know, some are solid, some don't have the notches. They're not notched like that. Some are, you know, like I said, there's 40-degree cut, there's a 38-degree cut, and the 38-degree cuts are pretty rare. They're not a normal thing. Like you don't find them on small block Chevys. It's all 40-degree. So, you know, take a look around out there. The other thing is you're going to normally on a small block Chevy, you'll have 3 belts. If you're going to do V belts, you have alternator, you'll have power steering, and you'll have AC. Those are the 3 normal standard ones. On this car, we don't have AC, so we do have a second alternator that we're putting on here that runs the 2 batteries on this side. That alternator runs the batteries on that side. This alternator runs the batteries on this side. So we'll run 3 belts on this, but no AC because we don't have a top on this. And I don't have a heater core. I don't have any of the other stuff in there. I got notes here from people. Um, all the room in the engine bay. Yeah, this is a gigantic engine bay. The car originally came with a big block, so there is a ton of room in the engine bay. But believe it or not, it gets very crowded very quickly, especially when you're doing, you know, Chevy V8 stuff. It will get crowded real quick. Even the big blocks, you know, you put headers in there, your steering's in the way, it adds up real quick, and it'll fill in that space. If you look at an original 1980 Fleetwood with a 500 in it, you'll see there's not a lot of room in there. It jams up pretty quick. So that's it. The one downside from today is my plumbing adapter showed up. It is not even close to what I need. So even though they say it's 2-inch, it's not. It's 1 3/4. So we're gonna try some other sources for plumbing and see if we can't get that the car plumbed up by this weekend. That'd be really nice. That'd be really nice. So I'm gonna get this thing unplugged. I have it on maintainers, which, by the way, thanks for reminding me. And get it. Can you guys see those mosquitoes? I mean, they're huge here. They're the size of a dime. I mean, they're big ass mosquitoes. Um, anyway, get the car unplugged. I'll get it pulled out and get the cover put back on it, and we'll call it a night. And it'll also let me check to make sure that belt's not. I don't want to wake up the neighbors at midnight. They're, you know, they think I'm weird enough as is, right? They don't need any more excuses for my weirdness. So we'll get this thing started up. Actually, if you guys want to, you can hang out. And now I have a mosquito caught in my glasses. That's awesome. If you guys want to hang out, I just ate one. I'll get this thing started. You can hear if it squeaks or squeals or whatever. You can know I either need to tension it or loosen it up a little bit. So we'll do that just as a test to make sure I'm not completely full of shit, right? Hey, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Does he even know what a V-belt is? We are clear on tools. All right. Look at this guy. He's huge. I feel bad. It's like killing a little bird. They're just huge here. They have helicopters that fly over at like 80 feet, and they spray. They do the mosquito spray, and then they have trucks that come by a couple times a week, and they do the big fogger out of the trucks. It's kind of cool. You don't want to be outside when that's happening, but it's kind of cool to watch. I wish it did something. That's my only gripe. So we get this unplugged back here. Get this maintainer resting comfortably in the tub. Get the doors popped. And I'll pull you guys back, give you a slightly better shot. Maybe. Maybe it's a better shot. Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah. Let's see. 89 Cadillac. Yeah, 89, they were a little bit better. They were using small blocks and LT1s, but damn, still pack a lot of stuff. And I'm like flailing my legs trying to get the mosquitoes off. Look at these guys. Can you see them? I don't know if you guys can see them. I'm pretty good with chopsticks. If I can catch one with chopsticks, I will, and I'll show you guys. I don't know if I'm that good at chopsticks. So I pulled the car in without power steering. So let's see how we do with power steering. It's going to be loud. So I apologize for that in advance. And I apologize to my neighbors. So which way do I need to go? Literally straight back. Don't touch the wheel. Okay. But I have to touch the wheel because I have to check the steering. So here we go. 3, 2. Fuel pump is pressurizing. Here's the loudness. You guys will have to tell me if you can hear me over the car. Car runs good. At idle, there's no squeaky sounds. I'm calling it good. I have power steering, but I don't want to hit my truck. I'm clear. Okay. Pretty content with that. You guys like that? Not bad? Oh, it's just starting to sprinkle here too. All right. I don't know why I closed the door all the way. These door poppers sound like gunshots. Door poppers are the loudest part of the car. So, hey, little tiny bug. Nope. There's a big ass beetle here. Go, buddy. Go. Go outside. There's way more food out there. So hopefully that was kind of interesting for you guys. Hopefully you could hear me over the sound of the car, and power steering works fine. And the alternator is not hooked up right now because of the wiring for the other battery. So when we get that hooked up, we'll know that it's charging. But it should be running. There's no squeaking, no squealing, none of that. So belts got installed. Everything's happy. They should be good. I don't know. I would say belts are good for probably 20,000 miles. It depends on how hard you run your car, climate, all this other stuff. In Ohio, they probably last 500 miles. In a normal climate, they probably last 20,000 miles. So definitely something to check and look for. It's the same thing even with serpentine belts. Look for cracks. Look for wear on the component itself. Look for like a little black fine dust. That means the belt's slowly coming apart. And if you see that, get the belt replaced. Replace it real quick. You won't have any other problems. But yeah, definitely take care of them. They're super simple to replace. They're super cheap. They get the job done. Even if it's a serpentine belts are almost easier. Take a big wrench, undo the tensioner, pull the serpentine belt off, route the new serpentine belt on, put the tensioner back. It's usually very, very quick. This is, almost as quick. So that's a good part. I told you guys pluses and minuses before. You know all that stuff. So we got power steering and alternator back on the car, and we're good to go. Hopefully, you guys learned something. If you have any questions or comments, like they're coming through in the chat here. Okay, I can be heard over the car. All right, cool. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please let me know. I'm happy to answer those. You guys have been great with all the subscribers and sending me messages through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. I get emails from you guys too, which is really great. I love seeing all that stuff, and I answer every single one. So it all comes to me. I don't have I don't have a producer or a content helper or anything. There's no social media team for me. This is it. So yeah, if you guys, if you have something you want to say, let me know. Love to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like all that fun stuff. Um, I'll keep trying to bring you guys cool stuff, and we're gonna keep going on the limo. It's getting very, very, very close. So thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I know it's really late. I really appreciate it. Um, don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. All right. Thanks everyone. I will catch you. Uh, let's get some plumbing fittings tomorrow, and then hopefully we can plumb in the hot tub. Hopefully, at least get some water moving around, right? All right. Thanks, you guys. We will catch you tomorrow. All right. Have a great night. Awesome. New belts.